Hello, everyone. Let me get a 5x5 if you can hear me and see me just fine. Michael G, Robin Prater. Michael G, first in the house. Congratulations. Uh, who else was in here? Sherry Bogan was in here. PNP comment as always. That's like over a year now. We've been doing a comment thing. Coffee first and speak. Hey, thank you for being here. Forgiven disciple. Eagle Claw 644. Scott C, thank you for being here. Good to see you guys as well. Joe Morgan, thank you for being here. Lock, Stock, and Prepped. Forrest with the FJB, dropping them. We will not have our moderator tonight. She is having family issues. Her grandma is not, or pardon me, Brent's Chewbacca's grandma is not doing well. So if you can give prayers for her, I'd appreciate that. First, disclaimer: this is a work of fiction. This is a work of art. This is my therapy, if you will. You are all basically my shrinks. Okay, you get to hear me vent. First, let me start off by saying, John at Prepper Nation, if you watched his Patreon that went on the YouTube today, he's right. Civil war. You really don't want to. Beware what you wish. And I left a comment on his video this morning saying, what could be a possible solution other than civil war to fix our country and to get it back to a godly, moral society? Well, civil war may happen again. However, it is not the solution to getting this country back on track. Now, I know a lot of people will probably disagree with that, but wait, there's more. The reason I say this is because, as John pointed out, and I've pointed it out many times, and lots of other people have, left wing, regardless of how far out towards you get. Right wing, left wing, same damn bird. That being said, when this country was founded, when we were like, we've had enough of the BS, we didn't have a civil war. We had a revolution, right? That's the difference. That's what would solve probably most of our problems and get the country back on track. However, a civil war would simply be basically right versus left, states seceding, splitting up, and then the right versus left fighting over control of the one side, the other, or both. Okay, so that's what civil war would be. And yes, Ukraine and Russia is a good example. It's a big territory that used to be combined, that is now no longer combined, and some shit happened on a border region. One group came in, another group's fighting that group, and it's going back and forth, tit for tat. And we'll see where that goes in the long run. However, I haven't been there. I can only go, like most of you, off of what I see on the big TV screens on the walls. But from being in other places around the planet where civil war was taking place, had taken place, or some kind of armed conflict was currently being waged on whichever continent, pick one. Haven't been to Antarctica or South America. So, but the other ones, yeah, it's pretty nasty. Okay. So that type of fighting in American cities would be nasty, very nasty. And for those that say, well, I would never bug out. The people who say they won't bug out have never been in a situation where it was bug out or die. Okay. And if you've got loved ones, kids that you have to take care of, anything like that, you will hit the bricks if you have even the slightest amount of survival instinct in the right scenario. All right. Look at countries around Syria. All right. Hundreds of thousands of people when the Russians and the, ISIS and Damascus and everybody started shooting back and forth at each other, hundreds of thousands of refugees. Some of them, I'm sure, had said, a lot of them probably said, I'm never leaving my home, until their home was being ran over by tanks or bombed by aerial bombardment. Okay. And I'll hop in the chat here in a few. So if you have anything that you want to say to me specifically, just hold off a second or get ready to repeat it, because I'll focus on the thread here in a few minutes. But in the United States, that type of warfare really hasn't ever been seen, because our last civil war was fought with privately owned cannons, mostly privately owned ships, a lot of privately owned rifles and muskets. All right. We didn't have General Electric Vulcan miniguns that have a cyclic rate of 10,000 rounds per minute. We didn't have F-15s. We didn't have tactical nuclear weapons. So, we didn't have napalm. Okay. So yes, a civil war in the United States would probably be pretty nasty. And at the end of the day, like I said, it wouldn't really solve any of the problems, because even if you divided right to left, you would have someone wanting to take control. And even if they didn't, even if a civil war was just threatened and the South seceded and the North seceded, or the liberal states went to their own, the West Coast and East Coast, however it went, as was pointed out by John, the banking systems are so intertwined. Would we revert to two separate currencies? Would we still use, would we revert to state currencies? What about people's pension plans, IRAs, things like that are tied into the stock market? With the stock market, who would control the stock market? It's in New York right now. Of course, I get that it's different businesses all over the place, but what about all of that? Actually, Texas is the only one with its own infrastructure. So who would be supplying power to the states that broke away or whatever? There's a lot into a civil war. Civil war in this country, the way the infrastructure, the monetary system, the financial system, the supply chains are set up, would almost require the winning side to dominate and take over the remaining side. All right. Just like what happened after the first Civil War. The South got conquered and the Union took it over again. All right. So we're taking all this shit back, and then we're going to go through Reconstruction. And Reconstruction after a civil war nowadays, imagine the trillions of dollars in damage that would be done, not to mention the catastrophic loss of life. Civil war versus revolution. Revolution is what I believe, in my opinion, would be able to get the country back on track the way most of you who watch this would want it to be a more moral, biblical type of a nation. All right, that would basically purge. Yes, purge. I'll use that word. The woke ideology, the leftist ideology, and that is exactly what would have to happen. And I know a lot of people are, especially modern day Christians, and I say modern day because let me phrase this carefully, most of today's churches in the United States are not the same as your granddaddy or grandmama's church. All right. They preach a kinder, gentler, turn the other cheek Jesus that was a pacifist. They preach nonviolence. And the Bible, I won't even talk about, well, I might talk about the Quran here in a second, but the Bible is full chock-a-block of violence. Okay. And if your preacher Now, I might lose some subscribers here, but I don't care because I'm giving you the truth, whether you like it or not. If your preacher tells you that Jesus was a pacifist, your preacher is full of, yeah, because he wasn't. Before he chased the money exchangers from his father's house, if you read the verses before that, the first thing he did was he sat outside and braided a whip. I've said this before. Some of you may have heard it. Some of you may have not. Some of you may have said, well, what's braiding a whip have to do with violence? What do you think? He chased them from his father's house with a whip. You think he just said, I got a whip? Or you think he cracked some people upside the ass with the whip? Okay. Yes, the Bible's whoever does not have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. He wasn't worried about you being, you might be on a path, to Damascus, and a lion might come out of the desert and get you. No, it was so that you could kill people. Yes. The promised land, I've said before, Moses had to walk and wander the desert lost. Why? Because he refused to go in and conquer and slay the giants in the promised land. Because of his spies that came back and said, oh, there's giants. They're so scary. We shouldn't go in there. Yes. Sometimes there are many biblical reasons why you should purge people from a certain society. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, biblically speaking, oil and water do not mix. You have to separate it. Now, you can always give those people the choice to leave, but the ones that won't, you have to make it go. All right. A revolution could accomplish that, because in a revolution, you're not just dividing an area in two groups with the same foundation, the same set of rules, are fighting over who's getting what. In a revolution, you're ripping it all down. You're ripping down the very pillars of the society and rebuilding them from the ground up. Now, the original Constitution would be a great foundation after a revolution was fought to rebuild, all right, as long as we made some altercations, because clearly the Constitution we were given by our founding fathers was not specific enough to, in plain English, for people not to pervert, twist, and usurp, all right? And that's on us for allowing it to happen. Now, as was said earlier in a video, people shouldn't do illegal things. However, as I've demonstrated through history, you will not accomplish any goals by playing by rules that were meant to keep you enslaved. All right. If rules weren't made, if following the rules got you where you wanted to be, there would not have been an underground railroad, because that was blatantly illegal. Think about it. So there's that. Now, let's talk about, let me hop in the chat here real quick. Michael G, violence is a solution to most of our problems right now. I will agree with that. Let's see. Selective violence directed towards those who are the enemies of the country. That I can agree with too. I love how Warlord is on that deport the defeated loyalist tip. I mean, if you carve out cancer, if you had cancer in your arm or in your breast, if a woman had breast cancer or a man had breast cancer, you wouldn't tell the doctor, cut out the lump. And you know what? Put it in my ass cheek. Let's just relocate it there. No, when you cut out cancer, you cut it out and discard it. And That's what we need to do. Hello from Texas, Richard Jr. Hello from West by God, Virginia. That's right, West by God, Virginia, not Western Virginia, West Virginia. It's the only state on the map that looks like that. See, I'm right about here. But did I just lose my live stream? No. Okay, we're good. D14 jabs. It's going to happen here in Canada too. Oh, you're in Canada? Awesome. I love Canada. Canada is cool. I mean, I love the woods, the forests, the government not so much. And I call y'all Canada because you're Canadians, you know. So it's Canada, eh? Forrest, LOL. How you doing, Forrest? Coming from a military family, I see this situation in our country from a singular point of view. And what is that point of view, Maverick 017? I don't know if you were talking to somebody else, but let me know what your singular point of view is, Maverick, please. Hey, Patricia, how are you doing? I'm glad to hear from you. Hope all is well. Or Canuckistan. No, not Canuckistan. Well, okay. Yeah, you're from Canada, so Canuckistan. You can call yourself that. The election, the upcoming election. Okay, 1 second. I'll get right back to that. Protect our Constitution at all costs. Yes, I agree with that. But unfortunately, too many won't stand up for it. They just won't. I don't know why. I don't understand the logic or the reasoning. But anyway, the election coming up. The election, everyone talks about, everyone's, oh, well, Trump. A lot of people are on Trump. Some people on DeSantis. DeSantis, I'm not so sure. There's a lot of skull and bones type stuff happening around him or in his past that, like the Bushes, same school, fast rising through the military. The job in the military wasn't actually a job that I actually, he was JAG. All right. And anyone who knows anything about JAG, that's been in the military, knows that they're not there to help you 90% of the time. They're there to jab a knife in you, in your backside. So there's that. I don't know. But what I do know is that if Trump gets elected, if he does in 2024, he's only got 4 years because he's already served one term. And what that will do is that will enable the government, the real government, to stall, to do whatever they can to keep him from being able to do anything really productive in basically 3.5 years, for 3.5 years. And then they have another shot at grabbing this for 8 years. So what I would like to see is possibly a DeSantis with Trump as a VP, because he can serve 2 terms as VP. So if he served 1 term as VP and DeSantis 1 term as president, and then something happened to DeSantis and Trump moved up to president, he still have his 1 term of president. It still gives us, 8 years of conservative minded. Now, as I've said, and I've talked to like Chewbacca offline when I was at their house, DeSantis, I don't know. There's just something about him that I don't trust fully. All right. There's just something, I don't know. It's just my spidey sense tingles. Let me hop in the chat real quick. Guns coast to coast. And it's a cuckoo bird. I don't know what a cuckoo bird is. Maybe I'm the cuckoo bird, possibly. Or maybe he's talking about the bird that our government with 2 wings. I don't know. But Obama is serving 3 terms. Well, I mean, some people look at it like that. Warlord, you are the man, the myth, the legend. Morgan Horde, thank you. I'm sure someday they'll make me disappear off this platform or off the planet, but I would never kill myself. Remember that. Never be a civil war. I honestly don't think there would be. Like I said, I would foresee more of a insurgency, a ground up insurgency. I mean, look at the Georgia Guidestones, things like that, but happening in liberal places to liberal places and to liberal people. All right. Not that of course, we don't advocate violence. I'm just saying that it does solve problems sometimes. There would be, I could see a fear campaign, an insurgency fear campaign, basically across this nation, if things continue the way they're going. And don't think that it wouldn't be two-sided. All right. Don't think that, I mean, because normally when, look at the shootings in the churches. All right. It's typically liberals that go off the deep end and commit really bad shit. All right. Mass shootings, typically liberal. They do bad shit. So don't think they won't ramp that up. All right. They know how to, to fight. There is a right here in West Virginia, it's called the Bullpen. They are as left as you can get, as woke as you can get. And they are a fight club where they train in martial arts, mixed martial arts, boxing, everything like that. But they are as liberal as they come. Yes, they are. They even offered to provide security for these drag shows. Yeah, so don't underestimate your enemy or their willingness to commit violence. What are we saying in here? We don't have a singular word in English that means highly skilled and experienced with the sword, but knows when to keep it sheathed. Yeah. I also realize I'm an old man now and have less to lose than the younger folks. That is useful if you're willing to focus, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Not notified, Sherry Leach. Well, we're here. I'm here, but only for a few more minutes. It's going to be a short one. We're already at 22 minutes. Here's a piece of information I would like. Some of you are out there struggling right now in these economic times because we're riding with Biden, baby. That's right. Enjoying the ride. But I literally just heard on the news tonight that they are spending approximately $144,000 annually on each illegal migrant family that enters the United States or has entered the United States. Think about that. Our government is spending $144,000 feeding, clothing, housing, relocating migrant families. Each migrant family, $144,000. What's your family's net income? Is it greater, or alligator sign this way or alligator sign this way? Is it greater or is it less than $144,000 per year? So if you're not pissed off enough yet to do anything, just wait. There's more. It's coming. Robin Prater, that's right, FJB. But they can't spend a dime on homeless vets. That is correct. While they give Maui residents $700. Yes. And as was pointed out today by a congressman, I believe it was, they're talking about, part of the problem is getting aid to the residents on Maui. Meanwhile, right next door is one of the largest military bases in the South Pacific that has 42,000 sailors, soldiers, and Marines that are capable of helping. But they'll say, oh, well, we can't use them on U.S. soil. Here's a fun fact for all of you who don't know, and I'll close out after this. If I told you that right now in this country, U.S. soldiers were imprisoning civilians, U.S. civilians, would you believe me? Let me see in the chat. Give me a one for you believe me, or two you don't believe me. Let's put it in there. Let me see who believes U.S. soldiers right now in this country are imprisoning civilians. Yes, you are. Look at all the people that know that I would not bullshit them. Right now, there are multiple states that have augmented their prison systems with National Guard, with active National Guard. Now, I know some people will say, "Oh, that's not a soldier." Yes, it is. It's a soldier. You are conditioning the National Guard to imprison U.S. civilians, and people will say, "Well, they went through the court system." The National Guard didn't give a shit. Isn't in the court system. They aren't in the judicial system. They're at a building, a facility with fencing around it. People show up, U.S. Americans show up, and they say, imprison them. And they do. They don't care why. They don't care who sent them there. They don't care if they're guilty or not guilty. They're doing what they're told to do. So in the future, when there's a facility and it's got a bunch of soldiers in it and busloads of civilians show up and they're told, keep these people in this place, they're not going to ask one damn question. Not one. It shouldn't be happening, but it is. So, all right. Thank you all for being here. Hold on. I live on Hawaii. $700 cost of living. We'll eat that in a day. Yes, Rascal Dog. Hey, you're all the way out there in Hawaii. I'm glad that I don't know how you found this channel, but thank you for being here. Michael G. Gulag, just the tip version of martial law. It's all the same to me. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So if you don't think we're living in a police state, just wait. All right. Appreciate all of you being here. Have a good night. God bless. Again, please say a prayer for Chewbacca's grandma. I don't believe she'll be with us much longer. To all of you, thank you for being here, and I look forward to talking to you again sometime. I'm out.